I would go in, and the process of choosing them would be you'd get a white bag, and now I can barely like see over the countertop, and I'm like, hello, like here's my I'd count out my $3 on my hand, and you would choose them and basically pick your own bag. So I would ask for, one Big Boss. I think they would have been 15 cents when I was younger. They're the pink, did you have them growing up? They're like cigars. Yeah, because it's meant to be like a gangster, like the big mafia boss or whatever. And then I'd ask for, 2 banana lollies. I think they were like 10 cents each. And you'd fill your little bag, and then I would ride home, wait till I got home so I could watch the cartoons, Jane and the Dragon or something like that, and sit there and just eat my lollies and get cavities. That's what I would do after school. People were like, what after school activities do you have? And I was like, cavities.
Gdayall, and welcome to episode 79, The Corner Store. Now, you might ask yourself, what happened to mall food? Well, something happened on the way to the mall. I didn't write that, by the way. For more info, let me introduce our co-host. Spanner is back.
Hi.
Anna Pirtle's back. So I said your name right this time, hopefully.
Oh, it's a bit touch and go, but that's all right. I'm here for it.
I'll blame it on the accent. It's no problem. So where's Phil?
Phil is under the weather. Phil is not good.
So we've, instead of cancelling the show, we called in for you because we spend so much of our day.
We, can't be separated at this point. I have separation anxiety from you, I think. It's getting serious.
And if I'll just explain our office quickly. We have no ceilings. You kind of feel like it's a cubicle with a door, really. So we can actually just yell out from our desks.
It
keeps going.
It gets a little silly though. Yesterday when I had a meeting, I was like, Barbara, I'm just going to close my door and window because I've got a meeting. Sat down. You can hear everything still. It's more so just on principle. You should close your door if you've got a meeting.
That's right. So people won't come in and interrupt you.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. So now we had a chat. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to do the show? And Anna very graciously said she would. So we thought about, it's a little bit same, different. We both were kids in a smaller town. I was originally before I moved to a bigger one. And for me, it was the corner store. For Anna, it was the milk bar. And there's a lot of similarities and differences. So we're going to discuss our experiences as kids. I have got some comments from some old St. Bernards and Tracy folk to help us out. And Anna was speaking to her family. Your sister was on the other side of town when she was, what did she call herself? A milk bar rat.
Milk bar rat, yeah, in North Bendigo.
And we're going to have some generational differences here because Anna is the same age as Mackenzie, so she could be my daughter.
Yeah. If only.
No,
I grew up in the 2000s, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's right. And something, I suppose, I have a bit of nostalgia because Sesame Street, any of you that remember the old Sesame Street, we had Mr. Hooper. And Mr. Hooper was so sweet. He had like the corner store. And Big Bird could never remember his name.
Mr. Hooper's name?
Yeah, he going, hello, Mr. Looper. And they go, no, it's Mr. Hooper, Big Bird. And he passed away.
Big Bird?
No, Mr. Hooper.
Oh.
No, Big Bird's still with us.
That would have been tragic.
It was. And Sesame Street decided to talk about people that you love passing away instead of just saying he went on vacation.
Oh.
And it was very sweet with Big Bird. And Big Bird even has a book he wrote about missing Mr. He even called him Looper at the end.
Oh, that's very sweet.
So when I think of a corner store, I kind of get the warm fuzzies thinking about that as well. Now, a few things. We're going to go back and forth. So we don't have Phil to bring us in and out. So we're just winging this for now. But we do have breakout news today. People have been wondering, if you hear a rustling, there might be someone eating cookies at the table. Maybe. So Aunt Jemima. I'm sure we all heard last year that they decided to rebrand the product to its original name, which was the Pearl Milling Company. So we have finally got the new product in. So we've got some syrup and we've got the original. I don't think we have the whole line just yet, but people are that is the best pancake mix, and people have been asking forever. At the moment, if you look up Aunt Jemima, you will still find it, even though, because we'll gently change the name over to Pearl Milling Company, so it makes it easier for you to search. So do not fear, it's back. And today's show, we're going to talk about, well, hopefully we'll get it into this, what are corner stores and milk bars, the history of the milk bar Anna's going to cover, reflections and comments.
Brilliant.
That's right. Now, I'm not going to talk this whole time, I promise. I've got one more thing to say, and then I'm maybe handing it over to Anna. We've got fun facts now, part of our favorite thing. I thought this was sweet because, there's not too much history on things, but there's general stores just mean a lot to people, where it's sometimes the neighborhood finds out. As Anna's mother said on the phone to her, the people that own the milk, the lady at the milk bar knows everything. So they're a very important part of our communities usually, and neighborhoods individually. Now, the Marshfield Hills General Store in Massachusetts is a local landmark dating back to the mid-1800s. This store became famous when it was purchased in 2009 by actor Steve Carell and his wife, actress Nancy Wall, both of whom are Massachusetts natives. They helped restore the building and reestablish it as a community gathering place. The store sells groceries, baked goods, and gifts, and you may even find Steve working there.
Oh, they own it still.
Yeah, and I cannot think of the actor's name, but on the Walking name is I'll come back to his name, but he's on Walking Dead. He's so gorgeous. I can't believe I forgot his name. Walks around with a baseball bat. He his local in Vermont, his local candy store was going under, so he bought it.
I love that when people do, like, there's doing good, there's charity, but like that's doing a good thing for a little community.
That's
love that.
And he said, I want my kids to go there. I wanted to. So he's not behind the counter, but he has bought it, rejuvenated it, and it's now a big part of the community.
No, I'm like Steve Carell working there. Imagine going to get a pack of cigarettes and Steve Carell's there serving you, like, or whatever. It's just wild.
I love it. Except I wonder how many times he gets things quoted at him.
The Office and stuff, yeah.
Okay, now my last fun fact, because I was trying to find out how much I would have, I don't know how I got money. This is a question. Where did the money come from that I got to buy things? Because I didn't get an allowance, I'm not sure. Snickers climbed to 15 cents in 1973. 20 cents in 1976 and 25 cents in 1978, about the time I would have been partaking.
For a bar of chocolate.
Yes, Snickers bar.
Already the differences. When I was growing up, a chocolate, like I wouldn't have got Snickers personally, I would have got Cherry Ripe or a Mars bar.
Yes.
I reckon they would have been, for a full-size one, $3 at least. Like,
well, I'm 100 years older than you too.
That's crazy. Like, it was never,
Actually, Brendan's about my vintage. How much did you pay for a candy bar? Do you remember?
I forget when I heard that. I'm thinking probably, I don't know, 50, 70, 80
cents.
Yeah.
Oh,
same things.
Brendan's dad had a lolly shop, though. He might have had a
discount. A little sneaky wholesale discount.
I haven't bought anything.
Oh, I have to say one thing. One quote from the family, and we still use it now. What's in the van, Ron? Because in the back of the truck for work, there'd be lollies in there because he had a lolly store. So if you get a bit peckish in the evening, Brendan's mom would say to Brendan's dad, "Ooh, what's in the van?"
I'm going to start saying this to you all the time.
And just it would be Sweet Tooth Mum watching a movie with a family. So he'd go, go up the top on the left and then reach around the back. You'll find a TV mix or something, chocolate coated something or other. And I'd go, okay, and I'd go in and I'd go a bag of polywaffle from there. Hide that in the back door, then do that. No. Thanks, Dad.
Hope he's not doing stock take. He would have been in a bit of trouble.
It's very loose. It was very loose. Okay, now over to you, Emma.
Oh, brilliant. Well, when I was doing some research on milk bars, because, I didn't know a massive amount about them apart from my own experiences growing up with them. But I realized, and it's great for the Gdayall podcast, because the Aussie milk bars are, as they progressed after their initial creation, which I'll talk about a bit later, they are inherently American because they were actually modeled on an American drugstore soda bar. I know what a drugstore is, but what's the soda bar part?
Well, like if you didn't have the corner market, you went to the drugstore, and at the drugstore you could get lunch, you could get a soda, like a milkshake, you could get a gift, you could get your prescription filled. So it's like a little variety store as well.
Right. Well, this is exactly when they went there. This is what it's been, based off, feeding a growing hunger for Hollywood glamour in Australia. So that's when
I know why, because starlets were often discovered in the drugstore, like at the
just checking out.
Yeah,
stuff?
people like, I can't think who it was now, but not Elizabeth Taylor. Someone will correct me, please do. So, like, say Ava Gardner was sitting having a soda, and they would look beautiful going in, waiting to be discovered in Hollywood, and they would.
So that's where you'd go and hang out purposely.
Yes, and you would get you'd order a Coca-Cola. But it was, like syrup and then soda water, because chemists or pharmacists invented all those soft drinks. So it kind of goes back to that as well.
The more you know. This is my day in, day out at work. The more you know. And you didn't even research it. You just knew it.
Oh, we've done a show on it.
Now, another fun fact from me.
Yes.
So the oldest surviving milk bar in Australia, so the one that's, still going, established in 1915 and called Jerry's Milk Bar. Its menus are printed on reproduced pages of the age from that year.
Oh, how cool.
How cool. I love that. There's actually all of these milk bars, all the Australian milk bars, and I can't remember the name of the book, but they're all, is it called, chronological? What is it called?
I think
they're all listed in this big
chronological
book.
order.
Yeah.
A chronicle.
Chronicled. They're chronicled. That's what it is. This is why we keep you around, Brendan. They're all chronicled in this. It's like a coffee table book that this man has done. So Jerry's is in there. This is my other fun fact, the first ever milk bar in Australia called Black and White 4D. I was in Martin Place in Sydney. It was opened by, now his name when he came here, I might butcher the Joachim Tavlaridis.
Yeah, or Tavlaridis, yeah.
Then I think he changed his name to Mick Adams.
Perfect.
Of all names.
That's so Australian.
He actually had the first ever, which I'll explain a little bit more about this a bit later, but first ever milk bar. You know what? I'll leave the explanation of that to the history of the milk bar. But that's the first ever one, was called Black and White 4D Milk Bar.
Beautiful. Now that we'll come back with a little bit more history and some memories, and we will be back after this break.
All right, so here we go, Anna, in 3, 2.
And we're back. Was that good?
That was very good.
Very Phil.
Phil would be very proud of you right now.
Fantastic.
So now we're going to talk about what are corner stores and milk bars. That might seem like an obvious question to you, but let's look at the feel of it. So corner stores and milk bars are both very important places in all towns, but especially small towns. Again, as I said, this will be same, different. If we ain't got it, you don't need it. General stores were once the hub of rural towns where people came for not just provisions, but for gossip and treats. Often you'd see in the really old pictures, you'll see people on chairs at the front, rocking chairs and stuff, because people would just go pass the time. Retired gentlemen be there whittling.
Rocking chairs.
Rocking chairs. In the South, they're big. Just hanging out.
Love a rocking chair. Don't have to do any... You've got one?
No, it's mine and I love it.
Hang on, let's just note that. Note whatever time we're on. He just said I can have your
no,
rocking
you
chair.
Cannot. I saw a really nice one in hard rubbish the other day, so we can go. Yes, rubbish. We'll go for a walk, and we digress. Now, maybe for me, this was my ultimate freedom. When you were a kid, you had this This is before phones, tracking devices. For me, we had unsupervised hours after school, or during school in certain cases.
Unsupervised hours during school.
Well, I never took off, but we'll talk about that in a second. So in Australia, Milk Bar is a suburban local general store. Similar terms include tuck shops, delicatessens, or delis, and corner shops, corner stores, although by definition, these are different establishments. Milk bars are traditionally a place where people pick up newspapers, fast food items, used to be with like fish and chips or hamburgers or your sandwich. While people can make purchases of milkshakes and snacks, they're essentially a smaller scale suburban form of a convenience store, but are more likely to be a mom and dad operation. A lot of them where people lived in the back of the premises too. And Anna, oh, actually, yes, sorry about that. Brendan's family it's a family of milk bar owners. So you know how you're not supposed to get in business with family? Well, they did with two different brothers, both sides, I think. So Brendan's mom and dad had milk bars for years, and one with
Jack and then Jim.
Jack and then Jim. So two brothers from two different
Jack and Jim.
Dad's brother Jack and mum's brother Jim.
And there's some great stories from milk bar days. Like this lady left. When you first have a baby, you're very tired. I cannot tell you.
Can understand
tired,
that. Right? Yeah.
So, and it was safer then.
My mum's still tired.
You never stop being tired. So, little Brendan's elder sister, when she was little Maria, came in and she goes, "Someone left a baby outside. Can we keep it?"
Oh no. And that's how we got Brendan.
So, it's like, they knew the poor lady would get home and realize that she forgot the baby. And Maria went to school a couple of blocks down from the milk bar, and she was delivered a warm milkshake. I don't know. It's one of those things.
List of things that milkshakes should not be. Warm. That's it. That's the list.
And then I think there's something
sour.
That's right. There's then Brendan's family got into a cake run, so out in the Western District, and then a lolly shop. So sweet tooths in this family. And now, Anna, can you tell us a bit of history about the milk bar?
I can. It's similar, of a similar sort of nature. But so as I said at the beginning, so the black and white 4D milk bar, or they affectionately known as just the black and white, which was the original one in 1932. So it was a new concept that they didn't offer table service. So it was the menu originally, as the name suggests, was just milkshakes. Cold ones only, no sour or warm ones.
That's good. But they'd be the thin, watery ones.
Yes, absolutely. So there was limited seating on one side and a long bar with the milkshake machines on the other. And most people would just stand there and drink them, which meant that there was, fast turnover, and it was sort of that convenient nature of eating and drinking and seeing people. And that then grew really, really very quickly. And there were around, within 5 years, fun fact, sneaky one, within 5 years, there were around 4,000 milk bars throughout Australia. That's a lot.
That is.
Which explains why when you go through somewhere like Bendigo, which is where I'm from, you see just old, either converted ones or just old rundown ones everywhere. I drove past one on the way to work this morning, and I text Barbara. Not while I was driving. I actually got Hayden to send the text.
Thank you.
I was like, oh my God, there's a milk bar. And I hadn't explained to Hayden that that's what the podcast episode was about. And he was like, why are you so fussed about a rundown shop? And I was like, don't worry. I don't have time to explain. So it actually back then, so this was in the Depression years, as it sort of started to grow, people would, rather than go to the hotel, the pub, go to the milk bar. Because you could get like a milkshake and it was more nutritious than a beer, and it only cost 4 pence. So that's what everyone was doing. And then the milk bar sort of, it grew in terms of not just having milk, but then it turned into this more of like a convenience store. So people would go and get their bread and their cigarettes and their actual gallons of milk, or whatever, liters of milk and that sort of thing. So that's sort of how it grew, and that's where it started out.
Well, we had one just around the corner, like down the street from us, and the stripper shops up there. And I was so sad when they closed, because it was a family and they had 2 small kids and they lived there, and they were trying new stuff to get people in. And Brittany and I would try to, use them as much as we could. And it was just really hard, because it's sort of, it's turned into sort of a thankless sort of profession in one way, because it's hard to make ends meet, and dealing with Woolies and Coles and all that.
Well, that's it. They're all chains now. Like you would get, you know, because they are always, or they were always in Bendigo, family-owned businesses. And like you said, like my mum, when I called her to ask about, you know, what's your memories of the milk bar, she went, we don't even remember the lady's name, the original lady who owned it. She goes, she knew everything that was going on in Huntley. And then, you know, now everyone goes to 7-Elevens or the Servo or places like that. The service station. That's it. The petrol station. That's where you get your pies from now.
But it used to be, and I think the last one, there's one around the corner from us now, but that's across the main road, so I don't go there. But there was one down the road as well, and I think they've finally shut down as well. That was the last time I went there was, I don't know if COVID, although I would think some things with COVID, I didn't want to go to the grocery store. I was much happier to go. We've got a little general store, and I would be much happier to nick up there and support them and get what I needed.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Now, so tell me about your milk bars in Bendigo. So
in Bendigo, so I'm from I grew up in a suburb called Huntley, which is sort of on the outs. As if you're going, have you ever been through Bendigo? You're going towards, you know, Shepparton or Gornong or somewhere out that way, north, I think it is. Huntley is sort of on the outskirts. So we had the Huntley Milk Bar, which is where I would go every day after school. Or I think it's now called the News Agency. I think they've renamed, they've rebranded. They sold it and they've rebranded. And they sell gifts now.
See, it's almost like a drugstore.
It is. We're becoming more and more American as the days go on. And then there's a few scattered throughout Bendigo. There's the Eagle Hawk Milk Bar that's still in operation. There's a couple in operation throughout. But there's a few, such as the Bendigo Corner Store, Spring Gully General Store. They've actually been converted into cafes. Those two are owned by the same people, I believe. But a lot of them, if you drive past the buildings, the infrastructure, because a lot of things in Bendigo are also heritage listed. It's a very historical, one of the original gold mining towns.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
I love it because we went up there not too long ago, and I thought the buildings are great. It reminded me of like gold towns that I live near.
Exactly.
In some areas, yeah.
Go the regions, hey. But yeah, there's quite a few in Bendigo, but only few are operational still. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, we're seeing a turnaround. Hopefully, some people are embracing some old things. I think that's a nice thing to embrace and bring back. And you know, with people working from home more now, if that stays, which I hope it does for people's work-life balance, then there's more of a chance for a local store to really happen because, you know, you can nick down and get your coffees there or get whatever you need.
Exactly. What was it like? Yeah, what was it like?
For me, so Tracy is the town I was from. Pretty's having a cookie. So Tracy was the town I came from, sort of a smallish town, farming town. I lived in the middle of it. Now my place was Parker Market. So it was not quaint. It's now a liquor store and sells lottery tickets, but it served its purpose. So it had a really good location just around the corner from school and very near the dentist's office. Good old Dr. Quakendall. Now, my grandmother lived on the same street as the school. So if I didn't watch all of the Archies in the morning, I could nick out a little bit early and just say, I'm going to school. I'm just leaving early. And then I'd go the other way.
And there's no Find My iPhone in these days. So no one can track you.
Now, Dolores is here, but Zaina, my friend Zaina, so I'm going to send this to Rory because I'm telling stories of our childhood. So for her daughters, I would meet Zaina up there and we would buy, I still don't know how we got money, but we would buy now or later. So I can remember the door. I can remember it like hearing the bell. I can remember the smell of it.
Oh, the nostalgia.
Yes, that's it. And we go in and I only went, and that's where I used to find my product of the day. The cookies, but I would just go straight to the candy section. So gum and candy. And I was like, okay. Now Dolores will say she thinks we could get 5 of them for $1 in like a little pack of 5. So I would do that. I also used to like Pop Rocks. Although the urban legend when we were kids, if you put like so many in your mouth, you'd die. So your
head would blow up.
That's right. So we'd all be in the schoolyard going, trying to kill ourselves. freaking out the nuns.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
refer to a candy episode.
Yeah, that was on Candy. Actually, did it. But the nuns are like, why are they frothing at the mouth? It was great. Bottle caps, bazooka gum, bubblegum cigars, Razzles, juicy fruit, zebra stripe gum. And it was the only place that I would have free reign to buy Hostess products because my mother wouldn't buy them. So I could buy a ding dong.
So how'd you get away with that? So I don't know where you get. Still not sure where the money's coming from.
Not sure either.
But how'd you get it? So you would just eat it, you'd sneak
on the
off,
way,
eat it, and then she.
Never know.
Is she about to find out through this podcast?
Yes, she is now.
Sorry, Leslie.
Mom was at work. I was on the way back. But the kicker is the best thing. So free range kids. So I would tell the nun that I have a dentist appointment at 1.
Mm-hmm.
So at 1:45, she'd send me off to walk myself.
Wait, hang on. I'm missing the nun thing. So
Catholic school.
Catholic school. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, why are there nuns involved? Okay.
Yes, Catholic school.
Got it. Yeah.
I would just wander off down the street on my own. Go to Dr. Kuykendall's.
Yep.
Read the highlight magazines. And then get my nitrous oxide and my cavity filled because I always had a cavity. And I don't know who paid for it. They must have called mom or dad. And then on the way back to school, I'd have a big thing slapped on my chest saying, had a fluoride treatment, not allowed to eat for 30 minutes from this time. And then I'd go deviate to Parker Market and see what I could do to undo all that had been done earlier.
Yeah. They took no notice of such sticker.
But you felt like, I think you would have had that too. You felt like a big kid.
Yeah.
Just, it's my own money. Wasn't, but it was my money. And I'm doing my own thing. And they'd say hi to you and, it was like really cool.
And no one, so in your travels when you were going to and fro,
yes,
no other adults dobbed on you to your parents?
No one cared.
No one cared about a little child being out of school walking around.
No, because they would think they're going to the dentist appointment or they're going to whatever because, there was no, moms were, if they were working, they were working, or if they were home, they'd drop you off and they were at home.
Mm-hmm.
So, no one cared.
Okay.
And everyone kind of knew small town.
Yeah.
I think if they saw someone trying to grab you off the street,
then they might step in.
But yes, so that was it. Now I'm actually might jump ahead because this sort of fits in with the comments from my friends. Yeah. Because Joan, who I ended up working with, I didn't know her in Tracy when we were kids, but she said she'd visit her grandma who lived around the corner on Lowell and used to go to Parker Market. And I also used to go to Dick's Newsstand to buy gum, and she used to go there to buy her romance novels.
Oh,
Dick's Newsstand,
like the book, like actual books.
Yeah, like Mills and Boone. They are here. What are they called at home? I don't know. Anyway, and then my cousin Barbara, her grandmother lived on Lowell. I remember going to Parker Market. Every time we visited there, she'd walk down for candy or ding dongs.
So Hostess is like the American version of whatever your mum doesn't let you have.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And those kids, kids that had it in their lunch, it's like they're rich. Like, what's going on with them?
That explains why customers come in and are like, and they're full-grown adults, and they're like, "Oh my god,
that's right,
ding dong,
I need a Twinkie."
Yeah,
that's right. And now.
Never allowed it.
Jennifer, who I went to school with, and she cracked me up with this because I never knew it. So she and Christina, now it would have been Christina Enos or Christina Oliveira, they would sneak off during recess and run all the way there and run all the way back to buy candy and still make it. And I think that's fantastic because I thought Jennifer was a little bit of a goodie.
No, that's a perception you must give, though.
I know, she was always like really cool, but that's made her even cooler. And Dolores, who we have talked to on this show, you might remember my friend Dolores, so I'm going to read her a little bit verbatim. Okay, Parker Market is correct. We used to go and get candy, ironically, on the way back from the dentist, Dr. Kuykendall.
What is with everyone at your school going off to the dentist? Is this?
That was true. Like your parents would make your appointments for your clean or your whatever, and you just take off and come back. Your mother, Brendan's mother, told a story about that. She had to go to the dentist once, right? And she left school like that.
Yeah. And
she got to the dentist. She went, "I'm not going," and she just went home. And she just told her parents that she went. And that was it.
They're not fact checking her at all.
No. They might have wondered why they never got a bill, but yeah. So that was not unusual. So you grew up in a little bit more like different.
Bit like so the suburb I grew up in, very, very small, very like insular, like everyone knows everyone's business. But Bendigo geographically is actually very, very spread out. Like my dentist would be 10 kilometers away or whatever it is. Yeah. 10? I'm bad at estimating.
A long way. You couldn't walk there as a kid.
No, yeah. And it's on a highway. No, couldn't.
No, it wouldn't have happened. Now, Dolores said, I seem to remember that now and letters came in little packs of 5. You could get those for $0.25. She also liked to buy the Hostess apple pies. Her
Yummy.
brother used to steal candy from there. And there was a newsstand on 10th Street she remembers going to as a kid. Now, she lives in Nevada. So the corner markets around here these days are more like liquor stores also. In fact, some of these corner markets have been busted for selling alcohol to minors.
Oh.
Her daughter knows where they are, and so do some of her former high school students. Now, so that was it. Now, I'll continue on after we because there's a little bit more about some drugstores that we'll talk about back there. So now we've got your reflections.
Oh, my reflections. So, okay, different era.
That's right.
So, different country, different era. So, I was born in 98.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was from prep through year 6 is when I really was hitting the milk bar very, very hard.
Yes.
Number 1 customer. That's what she said to me anyway, whether or not that was true. So, this is probably 2004 to 2010. I was frequenting it like every day after school, every single day. So I would ride my bike from my family home in Huntley. I would ride it, I don't know, a kilometre to school maybe. I'm really bad at estimating how far. I'm like 7 meters. No, I would ride it to school, go to school all day. I wasn't sneaking out because Bendigo in a different way, very small town, very small suburb. But if I got caught out of school, I would be in big, big trouble. And someone possibly would dob me in.
Yes.
So I would have been – and also my parents – so they owned a business together at this time. They were all, and it was in Huntley, the same suburb. So I never knew where they would be. It was very likely that if I had snuck out, I would have been crossing the road looking inconspicuous and my dad would have driven past in a van. I'd be like, oh, no. Oh, no. And then I'd after school ride all the way – to the shops, again, another kilometre. It's probably 3K round trip, I would say, something like that. I'd ride to the shop on the way home and then I would go in, get my lollies or whatever, that's what we would call. I say candy because I work at USA Foods. But
revert back to
got
your lollies.
Got my lollies or whatever else I was getting, and then I'd ride home again. So at this point, like I was the same as you. I was keeping the dentists in Bendigo in business. Now I couldn't walk to them. But the amount of sugar which is weird because I'm not a sweet tooth now, the amount of sugar I consumed as a child, it should be illegal. Like it was insane. So I'm in the same boat. I think because I was the youngest of 4, I was sort of left to my own devices. Like they were like, you ride to school, you come home. Like I would just leave and turn up sort of whenever it really worked. And they never really got too worried about where I was. They were busy doing things, but I don't know where I got the cash either. I think I must have just, because I was the youngest, they sort of never, not like talking badly about my parents, but they wouldn't have lunch all the time because they were busy.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, oh, can I have like $10, $5 for lunch or whatever it is? And they'd be like, oh, whatever. And Dad would be like angrily emptying his pocket, seeing what's in there, like some coins or whatever. And I'd buy some lunch at school, but then I'd just spend the rest on lollies at the shop.
They didn't say bring the change back.
No, they did not. No. Or if they did, then they'd be in trouble. I'd be in trouble. So the cost of lollies, I think this is we were talking about earlier with the chocolate bars. I would go in and the process of choosing them would be you'd get a white bag, and now we couldn't steal them because they were behind the counter. We couldn't. So we would like stand at the counter. I can barely like see over the countertop. And I'm like, hello, like here's my, I'd count out my $3 on my hand. And you would choose them and basically pick your own bag. So I would ask for, one Big Boss. I think they would have been 15 cents when I was younger. They're the pink, did you have them growing up? They're like cigars. Yeah, because it's meant to be like a gangster, like the big mafia boss or whatever. still to this day my favorite. We got them in the other day at work and I lost my cool and everyone was like, what is going on? And then I'd ask for, 2 banana lollies. I think they were like 10 cents each. And you'd fill your little bag, make your own little mixed bag of lollies. And then I would ride home, wait till I got home so I could watch the cartoons, Jane and the Dragon or something like that, and sit there and just eat my lollies and get cavities. That's what I would do after school. People were like, what after school activities do you have? And I was like, cavities. And at this time, I remember vividly, I'm the same as you, but I remember walking in and seeing all the lollies behind the counter on the left, and then there was a drinks fridge. So every now and then we would get a Fanta or something like that. There was magazines, and at this point there was no alcohol. I actually don't know even now if they sell alcohol, but they did sell cigarettes. I remember that because they were also kept near. They literally was like, if you looked behind the counter as a child, it was like lollies, big bosses, and cigarettes. I'm like, what are you doing to these children? And then there were DVDs that you could hire. So this was before, Netflix and all of that. I am positive, and I apologize to the Huntley Milk Bar, now newsagents. I definitely have a copy of The Neverending Story that I have lost, and I reckon they've got my name written down in a book somewhere, and that I've been meant to be giving it back for 15 years. I've got it somewhere at home.
So one day if you run for political office, they will come out.
Yeah, that's going to be held against me in the future. There were icy poles and drinks and that sort of thing. But there is this one now. Ainsley, your daughter.
Yes.
Who we work with. She is aware of this lolly, and I'm pleading to a listener to know what I'm talking about here, which no one to this day knows what I'm speaking about. But there's this one lolly that we had growing up, or I had growing up, that looked like a little owl. You know the raspberry clouds, the blue clouds that they sell now? Like they're just blue, sugary looking lollies. They're like gummy lollies.
Oh, yeah.
There's one that's similar to that. It looks like a little owl. And this is a complete digression. It's got nothing to do with the podcast, really.
But she needs to find the information.
Yes. If anyone knows what they were selling it at the Huntley Milk Bar circa 2008.
It looked like an owl?
It looked like an owl. I must know. I've looked for it on every wholesale lolly site in Australia. Cannot find it. If you know what it is.
What flavor was it?
You know when something tastes like the color of what it is? I don't know if it actually did or if that was just my brain playing tricks. But the blue one would taste blue.
Yes.
The green one would taste like lime. They changed.
Okay. So was it like a milky colored lolly? Or was it clear?
No, it was solid. So it was a solid color with sort of sugar coating on top. Anyhow, the final thing. I did reach out to some friends that I went to school with as well to ask what they remember about the Huntley Milk Bar. And my friend Lyndon Broski, so we went to primary school together. I think we may have had a fling in primary school. One of those, He, very, very great guy actually, but he was saying that it was a really great teacher of math because you would go in there with your like $1.50 or whatever you had and have to work out how you were going to be spending that $1.50 on your lollies. So very, very good teacher of math in that way. I think Huntley Primary School were pretty happy with what was going on at the corners at the Milk Bar. He also said, and I find that this actually brought back some memories for me, that it was a bit of a glimpse into adulthood because everyone got their first energy drink from there. But also there were naughty magazines being sold at the Huntley. They were all covered.
Yes.
But you'd just see like the head of a pinup girl like over the top of it and you'd be like, oh, no, look at that. Very, very cheeky. So glimpse in that way, but not a real glimpse. It's okay. Yes. They did protect, protect our eyes. And he did also say something funny. He remembered that there was a notice board at the front. I remember the notice board. Never had any notices on it. There was never anything to be notified of, but it was there in case someone did have something to say.
Fair enough.
But I guess to round it out, he said, to quote him, it always brought good times, riding your bike around Huntley. Great memories. I think everyone who grew up in Huntley, that Milk Bar for the children growing up was truly the pinnacle of like our childhoods. Like it was, no good memory without that place. It was where friendships were formed, you know.
Yeah.
Really, really nice.
I get that. And I was so happy to see that Parker Market was still there, even though they sell booze and lotto tickets. That's okay.
Oh yeah, and that's important. The Huntley Milk Bar is still there.
Yeah.
My dad still lives in Huntley, and it's thriving, but it looks very, very different now. Yeah. Very different.
Now, the other thing we talked about briefly before we're talking about like the drugstore, right? So I forgot about this because I obviously did not. Our drugstore in town didn't carry this, or I never went to it. I talked to Sean, our warehouse manager, about it, and he goes, "What about penny candy?" And I went like, "What?" Which is sort of like your mixed lollies, but they were like all wrapped. So it wasn't like little jellies, and you would get, and not as fun because they would be like Tootsie Rolls or like butterscotches or things that were like individually wrapped. But Brock's used to have a big pick and mix station, got a bag, but he can remember he could get 100 Tootsie Rolls for $1. I think he said after baseball.
For $1.
So they were a penny. So all the candy in that thing was a penny, so 1 cent.
Do you know what the good thing about that was? Whenever somewhere would do these mixed bags or something of similar nature, you thought psychologically, even though if you bought just a really good big chocolate bar, you're probably getting more bang for your buck. I don't know. But you think you're getting more bang for your buck because you're trying all these different lollies.
Bit of variety.
Bit of variety, exactly. You think you're getting more, but you're possibly not.
Well, that's true. And now they're sort of packaged together. So the classic penny candies were Tootsie Rolls, candy sticks, atomic fireballs, which we have, bit of honey, candy buttons, the ones that are on the strip like we sell, candy necklaces, peppermints. What kid wants a peppermint? Sugar daddies, pixie sticks, Mary Jane's bottle caps, Tootsie Pops, Hershey's.
What's a Mary Jane's?
Mary Jane is like a peanut butter toffee.
Oh, yummy.
And so we get those in occasionally.
Also, the peppermints that you just said, what kid wants a peppermint? I'll tell you what kid.
You?
No, the kid's mums. That's who wants them. My mum, I'd get home with my lolly bag and she'd be like, "Where's mine?" She's like, "Where's my mint?" I was like, "Mom."
I'm not going to do that. They'll talk about
Let me have my weird owl candy.
I'll say now chocolate coins, as we were talking about Fort Knox, gumballs and other things along that. And then so that was in the drugstore. And then at Dick's newsstand, where I showed Anna the pinups of the 70s the other day. I said I would go in there and I'd buy gum and a Teen Beat magazine. And on the cover was Leif Garrett, Scott Baio, Sean Cassidy. I'm trying to think who else.
They all look exactly the
same. They all
look
the same feathered hairdo. And because after school, once my grandma passed away, I used to have to walk to the police department where my dad worked. And then I would hang out in the police break room, and then if I got
read my
mag, eat my stuff, and then if I got bored, there's someone to go fingerprint me. I'll take my mug shot. It was very good.
All happening.
It was. It was just like a place to kill time. So now I think we're ready to take a little break and do our final segment. We've made it all the way through.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Very exciting.
Just don't make me choose.
Oh, I thought you were going to say what? And we're back. Now, before we do get into the next segment, I want to highlight something that I think is so important that I failed to mention at the beginning when I was giving the history of the first milk bar. So coming back to the black and white, something now renamed Mick Adams. The first milk bar was actually open. Now he was Greek, Mick Adams. So I think it's really significant that the milk bars in Australia were more often than not only specifically Greeks, but they were run by immigrant families who had moved here, and the milk bars and other Greek cafes and restaurants at the time were resting stops and places that people would meet up for business and where lovers would meet and that sort of thing. And I think, it even looking around, Melbourne has the biggest Greek, I think, settlement outside of Athens in Greece, which is crazy, but also makes sense that, back then, these huge communities, like you go in Oakley, there's probably heaps of milk bars in Oakley from people running them back then. So I think the woman who ran the one in Huntley was, I'm not sure of her real, background, but she was like a little Australian woman. But yeah, so significant that the original milk bars, a Greek man started them, brought the first ever one here, and that's sort of following on from that. Many, many Greek families would run these milk bars. So just wanted to plug that as well.
AV Xenos.
Yeah. AV Xenos. We all know a Greek family that had a milk bar. Yeah.
And like I was saying, even the hard working local stores like the fish and chip shop and the newsagents and all of that. There was a lot of immigrant families that came in and put in the hard hours and became real parts of the community.
Yes, and sold us our fads so we could pretend to be smoking.
That's right.
That's it. But as Barbara would say, they need to start making candy vapes for all the kids.
That's the next thing. That's like so when you guys have kids, so it's like, oh, what did they call that? It's like vopes.
Wait, I need a breather after that one. That's funny.
All right. So what we're going to do is a little bit of housekeeping.
Get the Hoover out.
Hello,
I feel like
Phil.
I really need to embody Phil.
You do. Okay. So the code for the month of March is madness. On the USA Foods website, you can click on the listener discount logo and find discounts that are happening, or you can search for it in the little search bar. The store is open 7 days a week. You can check the site for our hours. You can subscribe to our podcast. You can share and engage the podcast and share the podcast and engage with the podcast at podcast@usafoods.com.au. Now, something exciting. I'm going to let you talk about that. Our marketing maven.
I'm so excited. So I was actually just talking to Sean about this before I left from work today. We have hugely exciting news. So this year is the 25th anniversary. I think this may have been mentioned before in the previous episode. 25th anniversary of USA Foods. 25 years. Crazy.
I have been a customer for just about all 25.
Yes. As you should. Now, on Saturday, the 30th of April, we are going to be having not only a store extravaganza with more details to come. They're in the making currently. But we are going to be having an in-store show. So Phil and Barbara are going to be recording an episode of the podcast, and Brendan, our favorite production man, they're going to be recording an episode in store. So if you want to come and check it out, see what it looks like when it's getting made. It was so much fun last time. I remember, when did we do the last one?
Right about the 4th of July.
4th of July, yeah.
And you were passing out pickles?
I was frantically running around with American breakfast sausage and pickles and mustard, basically throwing them at customers saying, try this. So it's going to be really, really exciting.
Oh, it will be. It was
Really
so much fun, and we'll have a prize wheel again. I don't know the prizes yet.
Truck.
Food truck. So, and, we had the coffee truck a little while back. That was
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of exciting things that are happening at USA Foods. So if you're not this is a good time to mention, if you're not part of our social, our socials, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, because we announce these things. There's fun little local things that you can come down. We had free coffees for Customer Appreciation Day, and that was awesome.
Yes, Facebook and Instagram, get on them. That is where we are rapidly firing information.
That's right. Now we have some super specials. So Superstore specials, which Sean and I were going down memory lane. So we picked a few items. So let's talk about, these are things that we would get in the shop. Swedish fish.
They're really good. I've actually tried them.
They are so good.
Yeah.
So the assorted, so it's a theater box, like we used to get these in the movies. How good is that for the movies? Yes. So assorted is the variety that is on special. We also have tropical and regular, but the assorted ones they were $3.99 and they're down to $2.50. And this is
a bargain.
I know. Get down there. So this is the week of, now I'm just checking that. 30th March to the 5th of April.
Yeah, today until next Tuesday.
Yes, that's right. Nerds. So Nerds, a theater box as well. Oh my God, I used to get so sick on these, like happily so. And then, so this is a theater box. And
ASMR.
that's right. It's half grape, half strawberry.
Yum.
And I used to like, they used to be separated. This isn't, but I used to like get
Tip them in the
yes,
other,
it's like more strawberry on that
Yeah.
one. So they are down from $3.99 to $2.50.
Ooh.
And the Sour Patch Kids, straight Sour Patch Kids, the theater box. Now, these were not my generation. Sour Patch, I missed those completely.
I thought they were too sour. I actually find them not too sour, but I struggle with sour stuff. The same I struggle with, but good. The American ones as well.
Yes. So, and they are $3.99 down to $3. And Anna's favorite.
Oh my God, the jumbo honey bun. The hostess or hostess, as I always say, they are $3.99 down to $2.99. If you have not had a honey bun, please buy a honey bun. They are fantastic. I literally have a half-eaten one on my desk right now. I opened it on Tuesday. I'm hoping it's okay by the time I get back
It'll be
today.
fine.
I'm sure it will.
There's nothing wrong with it. I was so happy to see that your bottom drawer looks like mine. So if we get locked in, the back office, we're fine.
We're fine. We're surviving.
And now this will bring nostalgia back to everyone. Twinkies. We have got a bunch of boxes of 10, and they are down to the super special price of $10.
Ooh.
Now that is not only for that week, they're on special now. So go get them. If you've always wanted to try them, now's your time.
Mm-hmm.
You can Google, and I've made Anna discovered Pinterest. There's Twinkie recipes on that puppy. You can make all sorts of things. And
there's a Twinkies cookbook actually as well.
I saw we talked about it because you can make a Twinkies wedding cake.
Yes,
but would you? But you can't.
I mean, perhaps I'll think about it. If I ever get married.
And we have got a cornucopia of Pez. We have got so much Pez. So all the different cute little things, Mario Brothers, Frozen, Little Bees, Harry Potters. I can't even say emoji ones.
Yeah, so they're in store only, right?
Yeah, in store only. They're $3.99. So if you're needing some little extra Easter fillers, that's a really, really good one. Even adults like them.
I would say especially adults like them. Some adults that come into work, wow, they are like, where's this? And I'm like, oh, is it for you? And they're like, it's for me. And I'm like, here's 12. Thank you.
Now, I will, so we do our personal best profile. Now, mine this week is Mother's, the original circus animal cookies. They are my favorite. I have made myself sick and recovered from them many times.
You've made me try them.
I've made you try them.
They are good.
They've got little sprinkles on them. They've been around forever. I think the early 1800s Mother's started, if I remember correctly.
Oh, wow.
But those cookies, I used to beg my mom for those, and she would come through. Now, we've got them in like a resealable bag, but like really, it's a serving. It's a nice thought, guys, but really.
No resealing necessary.
No, and that just absolutely brings back. It's sort of like our TikTok. It brings back my childhood well and truly. Yeah. And I have brought them back many a time. We couldn't get them for years for some reason, but I think I nagged Phil so much he found them. So
he had no choice.
That is exactly right. So I highly recommend, if you want to try a different cookie, do it. Do it.
Now, this is an exciting segment because the knowledge nugget, because I don't have any knowledge nuggets in my arsenal of cooking, but Barbara always does. So when I got asked to, be on the podcast today and find a knowledge nugget, so it's a little bit of information. Do I need to give background to it? I will. A little nugget of something exciting that you would pass on to your children or your friends or share with people that, adds something special to your eating, to your cooking, that sort of thing. I need as much help as I can get. And I haven't been cooking for very long, only a few years, because I lived on res for a few years and they cooked for us, which I was really lucky.
Nice.
But so I was like, I'm going to have to call everyone in my family and ask for a piece of information because I don't have anything that's knowledgeable. But then I remembered I know one thing I'm sure I know more than one, but this one's my favorite one that I learnt growing up. I cannot remember where I learnt it from. But if you're drinking chocolate milk, which growing up in the country, I drank just plain cow's milk from the glass. Like my nails are so strong. The calcium in my body, crazy. But then when I started drinking chocolate milk, I learned that if you put a tiny little bit of salt in your chocolate milk, it brings out the flavor, or your strawberry milk or whatever it is, like in your Big M, it brings out the flavor of that milk ever so slightly. It is delicious. And if you're a milk drinker, which I'm sure no adults are, but that's okay, don't put it in your plain milk. It will taste terrible. It'll just taste like salty milk.
Well, you don't know, but I think that is fantastic.
Thank you. I'm really proud of it.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I was racking. I'm gonna have to Google something. I'm gonna have to find something fake.
Well, because it's true. Because no matter what pie, and I learned this from my friend Amy's mother, I like making pies, right? So even like a chocolate pie. So for example, coconut cream or apple or whatever, a little bit of salt.
Exactly.
It just lifts it.
Don't know what the actual science is behind it, but it is good.
Salty sweet.
Oh yeah, of course. There you go.
That's what
contrast.
That's right. I'm very proud of you, Anna. Thank you.
Now, speaking of contrast, you have a very good knowledge nugget. What's yours?
Right. So if you say you have to go somewhere and you have to make a potato salad. So you're going to peel a bunch of potatoes, which is a real pain in the rear end. What you do is you just blanch them. So get your potatoes.
Blanch.
So this is blanching. Boil some water. Pop them in there. It's even better if you just cut like a little X somewhere on them.
Yeah.
Trust me. Just a little tiny one just in the skin.
That's called?
Just scoring it.
Scoring, yeah.
That's it. So pop it in the water for about 2 minutes. So you're not cooking it. And then put it in an ice bath. Right?
Oh.
So blanching is, if I'm making asparagus, I will cook them for about 1.5 minutes in boiling water and put them in an ice bath, stops the cooking. But what happens is it loosens the skin. So you can just sit there and basically rub the skin off.
And ice water so you don't burn your hands.
Well, no, it's just cooling it quickly. It makes that all happen. And it's not messy. And the reason you do the X, because it sort of separates, is some place to put your hand in to do it. You can do it with tomatoes as well. If you need to peel tomatoes, very handy. Or peaches if you're making a peach pie.
I don't think I ever will make a peach pie. I'll happily eat yours.
Okay.
But noted.
Well, next time you're making potatoes for a group of people that have to be peeled, really handy.
I make gnocchi for my housemates.
So there you go. Try that next time. We'll have a chat. And Muffy, do you want to read Muffy's?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to read this verbatim if that's okay.
Yes.
So, listener, Muffy.
Who's awesome.
I think I've heard Muffy be on. Things mentioned before.
Yeah.
Muffy's knowledge nugget. To test the freshness of your eggs, I love this already. Place them in a bowl of water. If they sink, they are fresh. Go for it. If they float, they are not fresh. Best not to use them. If they stand on this is where it gets. If they stand on their end but don't float, use them ASAP, but maybe avoid them for baking. So I've actually heard this first bit before because we eat our chicken's eggs at home. I always want to make sure they're okay. But I've never heard this bit. If they stand on their end but don't float, use them ASAP.
I haven't heard that either.
I love that from Muffy.
I think that's great.
Between sinking and floating.
Oh, they're on the fence. They're on the fence. They haven't decided how they feel that day. Maybe use me, but not for baking. No cakes.
No.
I love that. Thank you, Muffy. That's awesome.
She is fantastic. And now, we were talking about this. We've got goss.
We have goss. We always have goss, but
our goss is super special this week. We've got a couple of goss. Now, we were looking at this. Anna and I actually decided that we would pay the $75 to have the KFC degustation we talked about last week, right? It made it all the way to Jimmy Fallon's monologue. We were ahead of Jimmy Fallon. I think this is fantastic. So he said his whole opinion about it as he went on, like we're a little bit nuts in Australia. He goes, most fine dining meals don't come with a spork. And the chef, Nellie Robinson, who was doing it, said, quote, excuse language, but if you've been through the pandemic, you know, we've had a shitty last 2 years, but redesigning this menu has brought a smile to my face. It's a real joy.
We, unfortunately, though, it's sold out now.
And in Sydney. Oh, no, it is this weekend. Well, we would have done a road trip, I think. That would be road trip worthy.
100%. 100%. We
We
actually genuinely were looking at it. We were working, but we were looking at
this is work.
This is work. We were looking at it in the office the other day, and Barbara and I both looked at each other and were like, should we? We should. Oh, it's sold out. Okay.
Can't do it. So now, and I have another thing. This is marketing sort of in a way. Let's see if this interests you. It's a long article. I'm going to read the beginning, but of course, it's a beer brand that has done a bit of research.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to infiltrate our dreams. I love how they describe Coors, Molson, the esteemed purveyor of watered down frat party beer.
What's the Australian equivalent of that? Is there one?
Right.
Carlton Dry.
Probably.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know.
Huge call.
Okay. In a discreet building in downtown Los Angeles, 18 subjects were instructed to watch a strange video featuring a synth-laden soundtrack and natural imagery interspersed with glimpses of Coors Light cans.
What?
The participants were then asked to drift off to sleep while listening to an 8-hour soundtrack featuring audio from the video. So, Coors' stated goal was science fiction worthy. The company wanted to shape and compel the consciousness of the participants into dreaming about beer. It worked.
Oh.
Around 30% of the participants reported that Coors products made an appearance in their dreams.
Wait, so what are they trying to do? Are they trying to see if through television marketing and that sort of thing?
It's subliminal
Marketing. Oh,
well, like I know there's
scary.
Well, like dance. Imagine so like an event. So they have subliminal messages all through with doing a deal with the DJ.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So you back up your TV imagery with that in there, and then what does it do to you? It's like a whole Big Brother concept.
Yeah, scary, but also just funny. Like I'd rather be dreaming of beer than some things that I dream about. I'm like, what is going on in my brain? But beer, thank you.
Very true.
I worked at Baker's Delight for a few years. I'm still dreaming about slicing bread. Like, give me some beers, please.
Was that like that WorkSafe ad with the girl?
Barbara, when I say every person who's worked at Baker's Delight or who I had worked at the Baker's Delight for my few years, all the girls, we talk about that ad on the daily. Like, I'm sure the Baker's Delight hired them to do the ad so that all of their staff would be really careful with the bread slices. It's terrified me.
Yes.
So now, it's like we've come to an end now.
Oh,
it just feels like we're at work and need to go get a coffee at the shop.
know.
So next week's show is legitimately going to be mall food.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we were going to talk about that. Hopefully Phil will be back full of beans and discussing a few things.
Sprightly.
Thank you very much for spending your morning here.
Thanks for having me. I love spending time with you guys.
Oh, we love you too. So now, would you like to dedicate this sign off to your mum?
Yes, I absolutely would. Do I just say it?
Just say
I'll
it.
just say it. This is from Linda LeMay.
Yep.
Good things come to those who shop local.
And there we go. Now make sure you get down to your local corner shop as quickly as you can.
Yep.
See ya.
Bye. Good.
Perfect.
Okay.
Great.